How's it? Welcome back to the channel and Merry Christmas. So I had a question come in on TikTok where someone wanted me to pin one of my older videos about, how to get started with the lucid dreaming practice. So I was going to go ahead and do that, but then I think it's actually faster for me instead of trying to go through my backlog and find a good video to pin, just to go ahead and shoot a brand new one. So here are a few simple steps that you can take when you're getting started with your lucid dreaming practice. And so the first one is simply just, you got to give it time. Like, preferably you want to practice in a way where you can, practice lightly at it for the whole rest of your life. But I would say if not, because I know that can seem a bit extreme, right? Is you got to give it, I would say, at the bare minimum, like at least 1 month of solid effort with it, preferably probably more like 3 months or something like that. And one of the key things in giving it solid effort is getting a lot of hours of sleep. So I would say like the bare minimum number of hours you'd want to sleep would be 7. That's like 7 hours of actually being asleep. So if it's probably got to get into bed like 7.5 hours before you plan on waking up. So you can actually be asleep for 7 of it. But, I think if you could hit like the 8.5 mark, that would probably be best. That way, if you get up in the middle of the night, you got to use the bathroom or whatever, you just happen to wake up, you have enough time to go ahead and fall back asleep and still get a good chunk of hours of sleep. Now, I would say like 7 is the minimum. Probably something like about 10 hours or so would be the maximum. Because I've heard it said that once you start to pass like that 10-hour mark, then actually that's too much sleep and it becomes detrimental to you. So the sweet spot I would actually say would be like, 8.5 or something like that. Another one you could do, another kind of key cornerstone of the practice, specifically when you're starting out, is getting into the habit of doing reality checks. There's a tons of videos out there on how to do them. The main two that I've stuck to over the years is the hand reality check, where you look at your hand, count your fingers, make sure they're not blurry or whatever, something like that. Also checking with yourself mindfully, what are you doing? What were you just doing? What are you doing now? And what are you going to do like immediately after this? Does all that check out? Because a lot of times in dreams, it'll be disjointed. So the hand reality check is a really good one, but the best one and the most reliable one, because your hands can look perfectly normal and fine and have all your fingers and have it be tattoos there and everything within a dream, is the nose pinch reality check, where you pinch your nose, don't breathe out your mouth, and see if you start to suffocate or not, right? And then if you can still breathe, you're dreaming. So that's a really good one to do in there. Also, to kind of build this habit, because really all you want to do is build the habit of doing these reality checks. That's why once you get deeper into the practice, you don't need to be doing them all day, all the time anymore. Is you put a random alarm generator on your phone, put a specific ringtone to it, so every time you hear it go off, it can remind you to go ahead and check in with yourself and do your reality check, in the daytime while you're awake. Also, because lucid dreaming is really a form of meditation, you want to have some sort of waking life meditation practice. And this is also one of the reasons why giving it just a month probably isn't really even enough time, because if you don't have any meditation practice at all and you're just getting into the practice, 1 month of it is not very long. And, really, I find you need kind of years of it to really start to really truly grasp the practice and, figure all that out. So having a waking life meditation practice is key. Of course, because I talk about all the time, but I think this is really crucial, is hypnagogic meditation as well. That can work out really well. I talk about it all the time on the channel. Don't want to take up too much time here recapping stuff, but just go to my YouTube channel, type in hypnagogic, and you'll probably find a whole bunch of videos on it where I talk about it. Something that's kind of linked up to the whole hypnagogic thing that can help a lot too is, especially if you can't get like, lots of hours of sleep at nighttime, is if you can find time in the daytime to nap, that can be really good as well. Just because a lot of times even if you're sleep deprived, a lot of times going to sleep at night can still be hard and take you a while. But for a lot of people, you'll find that if you can nap in the middle of the day, a lot of times you fall asleep really quickly, which can be great because then you can get into this hypnagogic state quickly. You can get lots of cracks at trying to experience and stay lucidly aware in that state. Plus, you can also get really used to watching and following the falling asleep process. Give yourself a sort of roadmap to follow at night when you go to sleep. And then, a lot of those skills will transfer over into your nighttime and into your lucid dreaming practice as well. And then one more thing I'll say on that too is, getting the correct perspective on the hypnagogic thing can be a bit confusing. And I made a video on this not too long ago, but I'll just recap the main points here. Is I find that, like if you look at like randomness, like say tree bark or a popcorn ceiling, or if you have a flooring with like smooth concrete, so you got some kind of random designs in there. If you can stare at that sometimes, every once in a while, like a face or a design will pop out of that randomness. So I find that if you can find that randomness to pop out, then you want to hold on to that and use those opportunities as like a little mini meditation to really lock your awareness on it, keep that in focus. And then if you watch it for long enough, at least for me, it tends to shift and change into different shapes and designs. And then that type of soft perspective is very similar to the type of perspective that I'm using when I'm getting into this hypnagogic state to maintain seeing these hypnagogic images without fully waking myself up out of it. A nice little thing you can do here is, like, say if you're stretching, right, you're in a deep stretch staring at the ground. That's a good way to kind of zone out on it. Then you get your attention not so much focused on what you're seeing, especially if you're specifically trying to wait for this face or this random image to pop out of the randomness. Is when you get kind of zoned on in it, that's when that image or that design can pop out. So you can do a deep stretch or do like a plank where you can hold a plank staring at, you know, the floor. And then as that plank starts to get hard, you start to focus more on the difficulty of holding that plank. A lot of times that can get your attention less focused on waiting for this face or this design to pop out of the randomness. And then once you stop trying to look for it so hard, it will pop out. Then you can kind of switch over to, you know, holding on to that perspective as long as you can. And then the last one, this one is super key, but not as key for what a lot of people will say it is, at least the way I like to point it out, is dream journaling. But you want to dream journal specifically to get into the habit of immediately trying to recall and remember your dreams every time you wake up. So for me, the amount I dream journals fluctuates a whole lot over the years, but I always am in the habit of waking up and recalling my dream. And then if it's a dream that I feel like remembering, I can really try to commit it to memory and then get up and journal it later. But even if not, say as I'm lying in bed recalling the dream, I have it there. I have the opportunity to hold on to it, remember it if I want. But then again, if I don't, it just ain't that interesting. I can just like, okay, that's kind of cool. But, you know, let it go by the wayside, wake up and then skip. At least for me, spending the next 20 minutes to an hour dream journaling all that shit down. Just, okay, I had it. I decided not to keep it. Wake up and go, you know, help my kids, play with my kids, get them ready for school or do whatever it is I got to do there. So those are some simple steps you can use when getting into the lucid dreaming practice. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Oh, and then one more thing, because I know some people might see this Band-Aid on my head. And this is kind of lucid dreaming related in a sense where a couple videos back, I was talking about how when I'm lucid in my dreams, if I see a particularly scary or creepy part of my dream setting, I feel compelled to go to it. Like, even if I don't want to go, it's like I feel like I just have to go there to prove to myself that I can do it. And so when I was shaving my head today, I ended up cutting myself. And then, you know, when I was done, and my son really likes Home Alone. We just watched it the other night. And, you know, he gets like the aftershave, puts it on his face and he screams. So my son knows that aftershave burns. And I'm like, man, it particularly burns even more when you cut your head open. So, you know, even though I didn't really want to, I knew what kind of hurt, I was compelled to go ahead. Plus, I wanted to entertain my son to go get some aftershave and put it all over my head and feel that burn. And, you know, doesn't hurt that. It hurts a lot in the beginning, but then like right after that, it's kind of like a good kind of pain. Anyway, totally sidetracked there. Maybe I'll have to edit that part out. But yeah, that's it. Till the next video, keep the lucid dreaming practice legit and Merry Christmas.